This man is one of the most dangerous people on earth. Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, commonly known as MBS. To some, he is a revolutionary who has transformed Saudi Arabia, especially for women. To others, he is a ruthless butcher who waged a bloody war in Yemen, and as per CIA, he approved of an operation to kill or capture a Washington-based journalist who was cut up with a bone saw. But now the Crown Prince looks stronger than ever, all thanks to the global energy crisis, and the world leaders are queuing up to get their hands on his oil reserves. The story starts by MBS becoming the Crown Prince on 21st June 2017. As we see now, girls and boys partying after hours, female DJs on the deck, undoubtedly it's an astonishing sight. But just a few years ago, all these were illegal. Public entertainment was strictly banned, and unmarried men and women were not at all allowed to socialize. Saudi Arabia, until this 5 or 6 years, has always been a society ruled by religious police. In the past, Saudi Arabia was governed by strict Islamic rules. Clerics were in control of everything from social gatherings to the role of women in the society. It was an ultra-conservative establishment, controlled education, controlled the public narrative, controlled religious practices. But that was until the rise of MBS, the young crown prince, who stripped clerics of their power. MBS gave women their basic rights, including the right to drive, and all of this in a short period of time. If we go back in time, this often led to civil war in a country, but all of this was done without harming a single cleric. MBS is a millennial who enjoys flaunting his wealth to the world. He splashed over £200 million over a French chateau. MBS really believed in his actions that led to the change in Saudi Arabia. Despite his confidence and wealth, only few predicted MBS's rise to the power. In Saudi Arabia's ruling dynasty, the House of Saud, the power usually passes sideways from brother to brother. MBS's father, King Salman, had to wait for several years for power and kingdom, but opened the way for MBS to be the crown prince. Although he had many half-brothers ahead of him in line of succession, his father, King Salman, had a soft spot for him. So when he became the king in 2015, he increased MBS's portfolio. He was given the title of Deputy Minister, Deputy Crown Prince, Second Deputy Prime Minister, and Chairman of the Council of Economic and Developmental Affairs. According to insider reports, MBS forced his brother Mohammed bin Nayef to step aside as crown prince. Something was fishy that time, as Mohammed bin Nayef and all his personal guards were unarmed and were removed forcibly from the power. After this, MBS wasted no time and readily took the oath and cemented his title of crown prince. It sent shockwaves to the country and the world. MBS invited the wealthiest men in the kingdom, along with all the business elites, to a conference held to discuss the future of the Saudi economy. After the conference, he held most of them in a luxury hotel, interrogated them, got them to reveal their bank details and their net worth. After this, it was crystal clear that MBS is the only ruler in the Saudi kingdom. This was, however, the beginning of his aggression and repressive behavior. He has consolidated power around his own court. Human rights groups estimate thousands of people have been detained who stood against him. And in March 2022, 81 were killed. According to sources, his list of victims will increase inside and outside Saudi who will stand against him. This is the price people have to pay to enjoy the basic needs. MBS has been famously linked to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, who was the former royal court insider and journalist. He is believed to be dismembered with a bone saw in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. According to The Economist Times, he was due to meet with a reporter the weekend he disappeared. MBS wanted to send a message that this is what happens when someone questions his authority. After the murder news, there were many riots and rallies held inside and outside Saudi Arabia. Seeing the situation worsening, MBS made a statement that he takes full responsibility for the murder, but denies ordering it. For a moment, it felt that this could result in jeopardizing the ties with one of its closest allies, America. Joe Biden strongly confronted the situation in one of his speeches, saying,
in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are.
Saudi Arabia has always been the strategic ally in the Middle East. Presidents of the Middle East have sold arms to the Saudi leaders. It's also the home to the world's largest accessible oil reserves, and thanks to the energy crisis caused by the war in Ukraine, President Biden's threat now looks empty. The recent message from Ukraine has been that the global economy still depends on the oil reserves from the Gulf. After that, it was significant that it wasn't just Biden who came to Saudi Arabia. It was also the most powerful leaders in the Arab world. It seemed like MBS was sending a message to the world that he is the only address for oil in the Middle East. If you want to keep Russia and China away from dominating the region, you will have to deal with MBS. Will anyone be able to stop MBS? Let's start with the kingdom itself. There are opposition and many religious hardliners who are unhappy with his reforms. They believe MBS is ruling by fear, and it has increased in recent times. Citizens are now against his rule despite modernizing the community. In spite of the oil reserves, MBS has refused to diversify the kingdom. MBS hasn't really had much success in diversifying revenues. The kingdom is still dependent on old oil reserves. All this economic frustration is now turning to political frustration. Will this be the end of MBS rule? Because how long can you rule by fear and force? And at what point could there be a breaking point? Despite the promises of new cities like Neom and increased employment, everything seems just like fake promises. Everyone is too scared to say anything but yes. Like we in Behind the Date said yes to bring you the story of MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi, or should we say feared Crown Prince of Saudi. In our next chapter, we'll delve into more such topics of famous people, controversial stories, and heart-wrenching assassinations of popular figures. If this exploration through history resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Date. Until then, let's continue our journey through the pages of the past, where every chapter has a story to tell.